My guest today is Faith Isreal, a fellow Extension employee, and she is a food systems and safety agent. And I'm delighted that you're here. And this time of year, I just love the fact that we have some places in South Carolina that can grow apples, and then lots of places in our neighboring state, North Carolina, wonderful fresh apples. And wouldn't it be fun to have some ways to enjoy them all year?
Yes, of course you can eat them fresh, but we're going to talk about how you can preserve that for a later flair.
Okay, and I think you've got something a little bit different than just applesauce.
Correct. So we're doing apple conserves.
Apple
and
conserve.
These are adding your nuts and raisins.
Okay, and then what kind of things do you think they taste good with?
This can be great with oatmeal or porridge, waffles, pancakes. You can put it even on your ice creams if you like.
Whoa, and it sounds like it might even be something that you might, if you like relishes, maybe you could use it with turkey or something.
You definitely can eat it with your meats, yes.
Okay,
yes.
all right. Well, let's see. Now, this, we don't have anything plugged in, so I'm a little confused. What is this?
No electric. We have a gas cooktop burner. Yes.
Whoa.
This is using butane to heat up.
So if you were going on a camping trip, this would be a great thing to
Very
take.
ideal, yes.
Okay, and ideal today.
Of course,
All
of
right.
course.
So let's see what, I guess we have some apples.
Yes, we definitely do. Everything has been pre-measured. These are our apples. This recipe calls you to leave your skins on.
That's easy.
Oh, very easy.
Yeah.
Then we have our lemon juice. This is our acid to help acidify and preserve.
And I bet that adds to the flavor too. Don't you think?
Oh,
I think
yes.
it always does.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have our half a cup of water.
Okay.
We're going to bring this heat up.
Okay.
And we're going to also add our raisins.
I love golden raisins.
Oh, yes.
I think they're just so pretty. I mean, I love raisins, but they make it just a little more colorful and fun, I think.
They do. And so the recipe didn't specify what type of raisins. I just went with golden for the color.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to cook this down. And we're also going to stir in our pectin.
Now tell me what pectin is.
Now pectin is our stabilizer. This is going to hold our jams, jellies, or soft spreads together to kind of thicken it. So it's very important to have your pectin.
And some fruits have pectin naturally, but a lot of things that you want to do, you do have to add pectin.
That is correct.
And is it hard to find?
No, you can get your pectin where you find your canning products in your stores.
Okay, so where the jars and everything.
Where the
It
jars
should be
and jelly,
right there.
yes, correct.
Okay, great.
So we're just going to stir this well and cook this down before we add anything else.
Okay. And you wanted it to be at a full boil, and it is certainly there.
Yes, indeed. So
Okay.
now it is time for us to add our sugar.
Okay.
Yes, the sweet treat. So pre-measure, we're going to dump that in, and we're going to stir this up, and we're going to bring it back up to a full boil for 1 minute.
And you got to be careful now that you put the sugar in, because that's when it could burn, I guess, if
Correct.
you're not real careful, right?
That is true.
Okay. But you want to get it real good and dissolved, so that's why you're going to sit there and stir it carefully.
Yes.
Okay. Faith, if you wanted to use some of those not quite so processed sugars, do you think that would be okay? Some people seem to want to use those these days.
So you want to make sure whatever your desire is, find a research-based recipe that complies.
Thank you.
So if you want something that's sugar-free, then find the recipe that's based for that. This is not the time to experiment.
Okay.
Yes.
And we can always call Clemson HGIC and find research-based information, recipes that will be safe to serve to our family.
That is correct. Also, you can visit the National Center for Home Food Preservation, which has research-based recipes for you to choose from.
Okay, well that's good news.
So now that the sugar is dissolved, we're going to add our nuts.
Yes.
So the nuts we're using today are walnuts.
Okay.
The recipe just says nuts, so you can choose a different nut based off your desire. And we're going to cut off this heat, and we're going to reset, and we're going to get started to jarring our preserves.
Okay. This mixture is still very hot. You just moved it carefully to a hot plate.
Correct.
And then we've got to get it in the jars. And tell me what you did. You've got a nice way that you've got these sitting here, but you've done something to these jars before you put them in this device.
Yes, so this is a steam canner, and so I'm grab my jars to
Yes.
keep them warm. Now before you can your items, you want to make sure your jars are clean. and you want to clean all parts of your jar with soap and water.
Yes.
And then you want to sterilize your jars.
And that means putting them in boiling water or
Yes.
simmering water?
You're going to put those into your canner, and you're going to cover them with 1 to 2 inches of water.
Oh, covered.
Cover,
Okay.
completely cover, and you want a rolling boil, big bubbles popping.
Oh, okay.
And when you see that, then you start your timer for 10 minutes.
Okay. Oh, because they have to be sterile.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And so you've already done that with these, and this is something that'll just make it a little bit easier for us.
Yes.
Okay.
So now we're going to go ahead and pour our contents in. To make things easier, to make things a little bit cleaner, we're going to use a funnel.
Yeah, they're wonderful. I love those.
Yes. So the recipe calls for 1/4 inch headspace. So let me go ahead and pour this in. We're going to do our headspace measure.
And that means you don't want to fill it to the very top. That means there has to be a little bit of extra room.
Correct.
Huh.
And
what's
that's
the point of that?
That's based off the recipe. So you
Okay.
need enough headspace so that way the air can push out while you process.
Oh, okay.
So this is where if you're canning often, you can kind of eyeball it, but you want to use your headspace measure. And
Oh,
there's
look at
these,
that.
these
Okay.
little steps here. We're looking for 1/4, and we're going to see.
Well, that's so cool. You just set it on the edge of the jar.
Yes, and I can
Whoa.
add a little bit more in
Tiny
this
bit more.
one.
Okay.
Yes, let's see. I'll add a little bit
I'm
more.
gonna try. So I'm just going to set this right there.
Okay, and while you sit there and do it again, I'm gonna
Okay.
move it around to see, because we want it to be 1/4 all the way around. Let's see. All right, let me push this down.
Okay.
And also, it's important on this side. It's a bubble freer.
Whoa.
So you want to remove the air bubbles inside your jar. And so
This is a nifty tool.
yes, it is. So I see where I have a couple air bubbles.
Whoa.
And then I'm going to kind of pop those.
Okay.
And because the air bubbles, trap the air. And again, we want, once they go in the canner, we want to push that air out. So that way we don't want too much headspace, because then we'll see a dark line after things are processed and you think something's wrong, or if you don't have enough headspace and then food gets pushed out and it's floating inside the canner.
Oh my goodness, that's not going to be good.
So yes, we want to free these bubbles. So
Okay.
that's what we're doing here. And I see another big one here.
Whoa.
So this is where it takes a little time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you want to can based off the beauty. Because people also enter their jars into the fair.
Oh, they sure do.
Yes.
And they're proud of them.
Oh, yes. So this is all we're doing here is freeing those bubbles. And then we're going to go back with our headspace.
Oh, and check again.
Make sure nothing has shifted. And I think I'm doing much better now that I freed some bubbles.
Yes.
Lovely. Thank you for rotating that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Okay. And so we're going to take a damp paper towel
Yes.
and we're going to wipe the rim of the jar.
Oh, just to be sure that we don't have any sugar or any part of this
Anything.
recipe there.
Correct.
That could impede this, getting a good seal.
Correct. That is
Okay.
exactly right. Because what could happen after you process your jar and you go to take your lid off, you can't take it off because that sugar is crystallized and made
Oh,
a
my
tight
goodness.
seal.
And
Yes.
it used to be, when I was doing this more frequently, they told us that to boil these, but you say that we don't have to boil them anymore.
Yes.
We just have to make sure they've been well washed.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so this is our lid.
Yes.
And then we have our screw band. We want it finger tight. So like a great twist and turn. We don't want to be like on our tippy toes trying to tighten this up.
Okay, we don't want Samson here.
No, no.
Okay.
So finger tight.
All right.
And so now it's time to put it into our canner.
Whoa! This is a new way of doing it. This is called a,
Steam canner.
and when is it appropriate to use a steam canner?
The steam canner is an option for items that you're going to water bath can as well, but only for things that are going to process for less than 45 minutes.
Oh, otherwise I've got to get the big thing out and have this completely submerged.
Completely submerged with water, yes.
Yeah, according to the amount of time that the directions tell me.
That is true.
Okay, but for this is a little easier if you don't have that huge amount of hot water to deal with.
Correct.
So if I were going to do this and use the old-fashioned one, I would leave that on the stove until the water had cooled down before I started trying to have it, because you have to be safe for yourself too, don't you?
You do. You
okay,
do.
but this time, now this is a cool gadget because you've got this rubber on it that makes it so easy to pick up. It's not going to slip and slide.
Yes, that's the jar lifter.
Okay.
So if I can get you to put that jar on top of the steam canner.
Just anywhere?
Anywhere.
Okay, well,
Yes.
I'll put it right in the middle. It can be the star of the show.
There we go. And we're going to cover this. Now the steam canner again is just additional option if you didn't want to use a traditional water bath, but it does have a dial gauge on here. So you want to make sure that it is in the green according to your altitude.
Whoa.
How far above sea level you are. Make sure you're in the green. And once that is where it needs to be, we're going to take our thermometer.
Whoa.
Yes. We'll take our thermometer and there's a vent hole.
Look at that. It's got a little hole there.
Yes. And so we'll slide this in. And you want to make sure that if you're processing more, that it's not touching a jar.
Oh, because that would give you an off reading. Yeah.
Right, right. And so we're going to wait till this dial gets to the green area, and we're going to wait till we get to 212 degrees Fahrenheit.
Good gracious, what a fascinating device.
Yes. So once those things have been met,
then we start counting.
Correct.
Okay. And this one we want to process for how long?
Just 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes.
We're almost at the end.
Yes, yes. So once things have finished processing and you allow them to sit undisturbed for 12 to 24 hours.
Oh, don't be moving them around.
Don't move those around.
Okay.
Let them sit for 12.
Find a part of the counter that you're not going to be using. Okay.
Correct. Then you will take your screw bands off
Oh,
before you store them.
really?
Really, because
Okay.
the screw band can give a false sense of security if something went wrong, and that will keep the lid on.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, so I see. So if the flat lid pops up, then I know that something's wrong and to discard that.
That's right.
How about that?
We want to be
Okay.
safe.
Now, how long can I leave it on my pantry shelf?
You can leave this on your pantry shelf for 12 months.
Okay. So next year when the apples come in again,
Start
we can
over.
start all over. Okay. So we've been following our directions, and this had to go for 5 minutes at 2:12. 5 whole minutes. So we've watched our clock. We had a little timer.
Yes.
We did that. So now, do we leave it in here or do we want to take it out?
We can take that out. So I've already turned off the heat,
Okay.
and now we can remove our thermometer.
All right.
So I'm going to get you to remove our jar, and so we're going to put it on the board.
This is a neat tool.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really feel real safe using it.
And when you're at home, this is where you let it sit.
Quietly, and I don't mess around with it.
Correct.
24 hours.
No tilting or no bumping. 12 to 24 hours.
Okay. People can find ways to take canning courses. Do they just call their local extension office and try to get them to put them in touch with the right person?
They can do that. They can call the extension office so they can get assistance of finding where some local course is going to be held for them.
Okay. Gosh, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun. I can't.
is.
Yeah. Are we going to fight over who's taking this home to put on the ice cream?
We can.
We'll come to a conclusion. Okay.
right.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Faith, for coming. This has been fascinating.
Thank you for having me.